Hi everyone, Christina here. Welcome to another video at my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be using the Peony Notes stamp set from Waffle Flower. And I started out with a completely different idea for this card and stumbled upon this combination of techniques that looks really neat. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's card. I started out by scoring a white card base, and then I took some 1.5-inch wide purple tape from Thermoweb, and I put that just above the fold. And this is going to protect the back part of the card while I do a bunch of ink blending and stamping. And this purple tape is going to stay in place through all of that. So I think it was a good choice that I did this so that I could move from technique to technique and have that mask stay. Starting with Seedless Preserves Distress Oxide ink, and I'm using a blending brush or blender brush from Picket Fence Studios to blend this color from the fold. I want the most intense Seedless Preserves color right at the top of the card and to have it fade out to pure white near the bottom. Because I wanted a really seamless fade, I decided to use a blender brush versus what I normally would use, which is a foam blending tool. I just find it a little bit easier to get a really soft blend when I use a blender brush. Speaking of, when I clean off these brushes, this is what I call spot cleaning. I'll just use a wet baby wipe and rub that brush into that baby wipe multiple directions until finally, when I turn over that baby wipe and I swipe it a few ways, no color comes off the brush. Now, if you're doing a lot of blending, you're going to want to actually wash your brush under a stream of water in the sink and let it air dry. But for spot cleaning like this and for quick little projects, cleaning your brushes is fast and easy with a baby wipe. I'm now taking the two large peony images from the Peony Notes stamps. Is that what it's called? Peony Notes? I can't remember. It'll be linked down below in the video description. I've positioned those on the door of my Misty stamp positioning tool, and I'm going to stamp probably about the bottom third, maybe half, with this picked raspberry color. So this is a different pink shade. It is not that purpley pink that I use for the blending. This is a more vibrant pink. And I'm just going to stamp the very bottom of this large image, making sure I walk my fingertips over that entire stamp because it is quite large. I was very careful when I lifted the door of my Misty, and then I took Seedless Preserves. This is the same color I did the blending with, and I added that right across the middle, like a middle stripe across this combination of stamps. I'm going to take a paper towel and dab off some of that ink right at the bottom edge of that stripe of color, and then also at the top. I want it to sort of blend from that picked raspberry into the Seedless Preserves. So after I had the Seedless Preserves color stamped, I'm going to go ahead and stamp another color. I'm going to do Chip Sapphire. This is going to intensify that purple shade, and this is sort of a blue-violet color, so it really blends seamlessly into that Seedless Preserves. So I added that blue up there on the top, and I want to make sure I have enough of that blue coming down that you really see the transition in color. Then I took that same paper towel and just dabbed off the bottom edge of that blue area. So I'm going to stamp this, and it's going to go over the same exact area. And then I've got a blank area up in that top right corner. So I'm going to clean off the smaller of the two peony images, and I'm going to place it in that top corner and then do some stamping to fill in that space. I'm going to do the same exact technique. I believe I call this rainbow stamping or multicolor stamping, when you're using multiple colors on the same image and stamping it in the same place so that you get a blending of colors. So I started out with picked raspberry like I did before, added some Seedless Preserves so it can blend up into that blue shade in a moment, dabbed off the top edge with a paper towel, and then stamped that down, and it's going to go right over that same exact area. This is just filling in the gaps in that top right corner. So now I'm going to put on that chipped sapphire, and this is going to finish off that top corner. I really love multicolor stamping, but I've never combined it with a blended background, and I think it looks really dramatic, especially when you have similar colors for both the stamping and the blending. So I've got that chipped sapphire stamped, and then I realized I kind of wanted that top edge to have even more intense color. So I took my card base that I have blended and stamped, and I took it back to blending. and I added some chipped sapphire right at that fold, just a tiny bit, not a ton. And this is going to intensify that color and help that chipped sapphire not look so out of place. It's going to give it kind of like a partner in crime. It needs somewhere else for that color to be so it looks more intentional. So I'm adding that chipped sapphire up at the top fold, and that's really going to blend seamlessly into the seedless preserves and then fading out to white. I think it looks really, really dramatic, and I sort of just stumbled upon this combination of techniques with the ink blending plus the multicolor stamping, and I really love how it turned out. When I removed the ThermoWeb purple tape, it left a nice clean edge right at that fold, and then I set this aside and I let it dry for about a half hour. And I'm going to test it with some gold embossing powder here because I want to make sure that ink is completely dry before I move on. And thankfully it was dry. I then took the I Miss You stamp from the stamp set, put it in my MISTI, and I stamped it in Versamark ink. I'm going to make this greeting a nice bright gold. Sprinkled on this gilded embossing powder from Brutus Monroe, tapped off the excess, and then I used a heat tool to heat this until it was smooth and melted. Now, that whole idea of having a partner in crime, I'm going to go with that again here and add some more gold onto this card by adding a gold edge all the way around the outside. The way I do that is I take a Versamark ink pad and I sort of just run it along the edge and let it add just a little bit of that sticky ink right along the edge of this card. And then I can take my gold embossing powder and I can dip the edges of my card down into that powder, and it only applies the powder to the edges. So sometimes I go a little crazy with the Versamark ink and I have too much embossing powder on the edges like I did in this case. So when that happens, I take a dry brush and just sweep off some of that embossing powder. Because that Versamark ink is clear and it probably won't show on your card even if there's no embossing powder on top, I just go ahead and swipe some of that powder off. Then use the heat tool to smooth and melt all of that embossing powder. And that finishes the card. Super simple card, but a couple techniques used on it. You can see how brilliant that gold is in the light. So thank you so much for joining me for today's card. I hope you guys will try out this combination of techniques, ink blending plus multicolor stamping. I had a lot of fun with this card. Make sure you check all the supplies out in the video description below or in the supply list at my blog. And thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys tuning in and kind of seeing what I'm coming up with. I really enjoy it. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys on Monday for a brand new Make a Card Monday video.